There's only just one mechanism the cabal can deploy in order to control the masses: fear. People who are scared cannot think clearly anymore. They tend to freeze and reach out for others to save them and take away the fear. Others, like the government or so-called experts. People turn to us for hope, so we have noticed. They even get angry with us when we don't offer hope on a silver platter. Truth is, it's time to stop giving others your power. It's time to stop turning to others for hope or a solution to your misery. Only you can save you. It's time for action. Action from you, the people. What we present in our episodes are our findings to our research. We call it the ugly truth. And ugly it is. Much uglier than we expected it to be. But you have two options. You can either turn away because it makes you feel uncomfortable, or you can accept it for what it is: reality. And yes, it's bad. It's ugly. It makes you want to throw up. It would be weird if you didn't feel that way. Believe me, we've gone through all those phases while doing the research. But the ugly truth will not go away simply because you don't like it. It will only go away once you accept it for what it is and act. Once you know the facts, once you know your enemies, so to speak, you can draw up a plan. You will know what to do, when to do it. What we're about to tell you is so insane, so outrageous, that you will probably not believe us. We wouldn't have believed it if someone had told us what's about to come, say, a year ago. Therefore, after our insight into the future of humanity, we will let them say it. Them being the spokesman of the World Economic Forum, the biggest and most dangerous NGO in the world. For when you hear them say it, how can you possibly deny it any longer? And remember, we are not spreading fear. At the end of this episode, you will know what to do, okay? Here we go. Picture the year 2030. Half of the world's population has died as a result of the depopulation program. The world has been taken over by a small elite group of people whose spies managed to infiltrate every aspect of society, after which the long-awaited one world government was successfully formed. Country borders have disappeared. National and personal sovereignty belong to the past. Terrified by the idea of more killer viruses, cyber attacks, nuclear wars and alien invasions, the remaining people gave up everything, desperately hoping to be saved by their leaders. They now live in a totalitarian, communist, even fascist system. Surveillance has reached unimaginable heights, not just in every street and every house, not just in people's clothes or in the bracelets they must wear, but surveillance under the skin. Billions of people were chipped. They were promised happiness and godlike powers. Instead, they were made redundant and turned into hackable animals. They are now controlled by a system that knows them better than they know themselves. Their political views, their sexual preferences, their mental weaknesses, their deepest fears and hopes. Those who are still alive are now controlled by a system that can predict their feelings and decisions, that can manipulate their feelings and decisions, and that can ultimately make decisions for them. Their bodies, brains, minds and souls were systematically and successfully hacked by means of a combination of unprecedented computer power, understanding of biology, artificial intelligence, and biometric data they collected from you, me, and every person on this planet. Those who survived the depopulation program own nothing. Homo sapiens is dead. It died when it was hacked and turned into hybrid cyborgs. Free will is dead. God has been surpassed and taken over. They finally did it. What tyrants in the past failed to achieve, the cabal managed. They hacked and hacked and hacked until no free-thinking individual was left on the face of the planet. 2030, 7 years from now. Not a pretty picture, right? Let's hear what the cabal has to say about it, shall we? Meet Klaus Schwab, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum.
When I mention now names like this Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. What we are very proud of is that we penetrate the cabinets. We penetrate the cabinets. I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
I respect China's achievements, which are tremendous. I think it's a role model for many countries. We have to define how the world should look like.
The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take a genetic editing, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
People assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen. The next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner, and it is the climate crisis.
What a wonderful man, and what a perfect example of yet another fear-mongering sociopath who knows how to mislead millions of people by using almost innocent words to describe one hell of a future. I mean, he just literally said that life after COVID will never go back to normal, something that was promised us all along, remember? He called China a wonderful role model for other countries. China, for God's sake, guilty of the most heinous crimes against humanity. He spread some more fear about disasters lurking around the corner, like a major cyber attack and climate change. Because after all, it's fear that keeps us in line. And he's most excited about genetic editing that will change you, as in all of you, including your personality. Oh, and on top of that, he states that they will define how the future world should look like. They being the elite, the less than 1% that nobody ever elected, but who can actually do this because they infiltrated just about every cabinet in the world. And of course, let's not forget the one-liner that made him famous in the first place. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You, not them. They will continue owning everything, including the private planes that take them to Davos, where they can discuss the horrors of climate change and the irresponsibility of you and me when it comes to sustainability. But hey, let's move on to his most prominent advisor, Yuval Harari. What does he have to say in his own words?
The defining equation of life in the 21st century. Biological knowledge multiplied by computing power, multiplied by data, equals the ability to hack humans. If you know enough biology and you have enough computing power and data, you can hack my body and my brain and my life, and you can understand me better than I understand myself. You can know my personality type, my political views, my sexual preferences, my mental weaknesses, my deepest fears and hopes. And you can do that not just to me, but to everyone. A system that understands us better than we understand ourselves can predict our feelings and decisions, can manipulate our feelings and decisions, and can ultimately make decisions for us. How exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. In the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. We've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Humans are now hackable animals. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. Now, for the first time in history, it is becoming feasible to monitor everybody all the time, and not just what we do, but even what we feel. We already know that corporations and governments can know that you are now watching this show. But this is still limited. They don't know yet what you're actually feeling as you're watching us. But once you have under the skin surveillance, you can know that, because emotions and feelings are biological phenomena just like fever. The same technology. Control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed. All of life, for 4 billion years, was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods.
Straight from the horse's mouth. Shocking, isn't it? So let's get this straight. They are creating an era of inorganic life shaped by their intelligent design. Because God didn't do a good job. I mean, nothing really changed in 4 billion years, right, Yuval? It doesn't really matter whether you believe in the God of the Bible or in Darwin's evolution theory. This is a statement that no geologist or paleontologist will ever agree on. And it's an absolute insult to religious people. This historian, specialized in medieval and military history, now tells the world with immense authority that they can do better than God.
Now we are much better than the God of the Bible.
Now normally we would tell you all about Schwab and Harari, about their roots, their hidden agendas. And of course we did the research and we discovered a lot. For instance, about the real driving force behind the WEF. Nelson Rockefeller, and of course, as always, the near immortal Henry Kissinger. Schwab and Harari are just cabal puppets. One plays the wise, philosophical, even friendly advisor who meditates 2 hours a day. The other one is a caricature of a Nazi who can't even pronounce the word COVID properly.
COVID-19 crisis, the COVID-19 crisis.
The COVID of COVID-19.
COVID? Scovid? Seriously? Is it really important, in this particular case, to share all the background information we discovered? Or should we move straight on to the dark future they have in mind for us in the very short term? We choose the latter as we don't believe we have the luxury of wasting any more time. In short, the World Economic Forum, set up in 1971, plays out a modern-day version of the Protocols of Zion. For more than half a century, every detail of Agenda 21 and 2030 was executed at the exact right moment. Everything was planned meticulously. If there's one thing the cabal mastered, is patience. More than 50 years of planning, of getting the useless eaters prepared, ready, even willing to become the perfect cyborg slaves. As the WEF carefully played out its cabal game, moving pawns to and fro, its goals remained the same as always. World dominance, a new world order, depopulation of the masses, and the utter submission of the remaining useless eaters. In order to achieve these goals, every part of society had to be infiltrated by WEF-trained operatives throughout the world. Training programs were set up over 30 years ago to select potential operatives, to educate and shape them, turning them into eager puppets who were subsequently placed in key positions around the world.
We penetrate the cabinets.
Call it penetration, call it infiltration. Let's be honest, it's brilliant. If you wanted your wicked plans to be accepted and executed on a global scale, don't you think the fastest, most efficient way would be to infiltrate every aspect of society? To put your puppets everywhere? Remember the 1489 Constantinople letter from part 2 of the sequel? This was the advice of the cabal's top Nazi to his Ashkenazi fellow men. Make your sons merchants so they can despoil the Christians of their goods. Make them doctors and apothecaries so they can take away Christian lives. Make them canons and clerics so they can destroy Christian churches. And make them advocates and lawyers so they can mix themselves up with the affairs of state. This way you will dominate the world. Infiltration, infiltration, infiltration. They did it back then, and they're still doing it now. This time, they started with the Global Leaders of Tomorrow, a one-year program that started in 1992 and lasted until 2003. And then, in 2004, a 4-year program was set up, the Young Global Leaders. In 2011, the Global Shapers community was set up to select and groom people younger than 30. So, what's the level of infiltration we're talking about? The cabal used its World Economic Forum to penetrate everything, every part of society, worldwide. We are talking Protocols of Zion 2.0. Let me show you what we mean. And please realize that every business we're about to show you sent its highly placed representatives to follow one of the WEF's training programs. CEOs, director of this, director of that. Meaning each and every business and aspect of society has been programmed to execute the WEF's demands. Please let that sink in while you watch the following. The WEF has successfully and thoroughly infiltrated the financial world, corporations, NGOs, religion, the media, the world of science, Hollywood and Bollywood, domain of air and space. Royal families. And last but not least, they penetrated the world of politics. Think prime ministers, presidents and advisors to the president, ministers, ambassadors, members of Congress and Parliament, senators and mayors. We're talking thousands and thousands of cabal puppets, longing for a piece of the money and power pie, who were trained by the WEF and put in high positions around the world. Big influencers who decide the direction and content of your life. Now please let it sink in that all the people we just showed you have followed the official training programs, even kings and queens. Why? They're royalty, for goodness sake. It clearly shows you who's actually in charge, doesn't it? The amount of WEF influencers across the world is absolutely massive. There are many, many more members and participants of the WEF who, for some reason, do not need to follow the training programs. Here are some more friendly faces you've probably seen before. All the major globalists are there. That's right. The cabal infiltrated everything. They are everywhere. What's their next move? The Great Reset.
We need a great reset.
A massive global change of reality, enveloping every aspect of your life. This is the era of technology and science, where feelings are read, registered, and altered if desired. The era of reason will tear out the root of being human, so that we can be controlled and oppressed, used, or extinguished. Follow the science, they said.
In this time of crisis, you have to follow science.
But guess what? Science is not about objective discoveries. Science changes all the time. So why treat it as holy? You know why? Because science is about power.
Science is not really about truth. It's about power. Particular scientists may be very interested in the truth, personally. But as an institution, the real aim of science is power.
That's why they wanted us to follow the science, so their power would reach insanely dangerous heights.
It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to, but in a crisis you see we have no chance, so let's do it.
Most jobs in the near future will be carried out by robots and cyborgs. You will be made redundant. And the people who don't want to join this program, or who cannot keep up with the speed of developments?
A new, massive, useless class. A class that has no military or economic usefulness, and therefore also no political power.
My best guess at present
is a combination of drugs and computer games.
Drugs and computer games. And maybe they'll just end up in isolation camps. Or should I say, concentration camps. So, is there hope for humanity? You decide. After all, we are not here to sell you hope. We are here to give you facts. But hey, you know us. We will show you what you can do in order to change things. It's basically what we've been telling you all along in our Zoom presentations. But first, let's move on with some more lies that will make you happy to pay more tax. And we'll give you a picture of what all of the above means for this new, massive class of useless eaters. In other words, for you and your children. Follow me to part 28.